Okay, so let's see now how we're going to get our rats to do arithmetic. If you look at the main program, what we do over here is we declare three rats. We have one rat called x, which has 1/2. It's been declared to have a numerator of 1 and a denominator of 2. Another rat y, which is 2/3, and z, which we're not passing any parameters, so the default constructor is going to be called. Now, what we really want to do is we want to add those two rats. Right? If you look on the next line, we're going to say that z, this rat, is going to be the sum of x plus y. Now, we have to understand what we really want to do over here is plus is defined in the language on the basic types like ints and floating point numbers. But of course, the compiler knows nothing about adding two rats. So what we want to do is we want to essentially overload the plus operator for the new type. We want the compiler to be able to recognize that when it sees a plus between two rats, what is it supposed to do with that? So the way we do it is we define a new operator in the rat class, and the operator is called operator plus. Here we have it right over here. This is the operator plus defined for the rat class. Now if you look at it, the operator plus has some interesting features. First of all, it takes a parameter. And you would imagine that if I'm adding two numbers, x and y, in a plus operation, it would require two parameters, and it only has one. And the reason is because even though we're going to be able to put the operator between the x and the y, what the compiler really does is when it sees x plus y, it says, well, I know what you really mean. You really mean to call the operator plus on x and pass the parameter y. So the compiler translates the x plus y into the following. Take x, which is the left-hand side of x plus y, and apply to it, call the function operator plus, and pass in the parameter y. That's what's really going on over here. And the reason for the dot is because basically the way C++ looks at a class is really the old C struct on steroids. I mean, what we mean there is that if you have a struct, remember we use the dot operator to get at the various data members. Well, in C++, not only do you have data members, you have also functions that you can apply. And those are also like members. So it uses the dot not only to represent which data member I want, but also which operator I want to apply. So now what happens when we say that I want to add x and y? What's going on internally? So recall what we mean when we're adding fractions. Let's say I have a fraction a over b and I want to add it to c over d. So the rule is you cross multiply. Right? In other words, we take the a times the d. That gives me the numerator of the new fraction. So it's a times d. And I add to that, I cross multiply the other way. I add to that b times c. That gives me the numerator. And what about the denominator? What do I put on the denominator? So for the denominator, what I do is I simply multiply the b times the d, and I get bd on the bottom. So that's what I have to do if I want to add the rat x to the rat y, and I want to create a rat z. So I have to create the numerator of the rat z in the same way, cross multiply the various components of x and y, and likewise the denominator of z is going to have to be the product of the denominator of the x and y. How do I actually get that to happen? What happens over here? How do we make that work? Let's go back and take a look at the function and see what happens.